Doctor Strange in 3D. We'll check out the multiverse in a few days. I just got that new one in the mail and realized I've never actually seen the first one in 3D, so let's start there. Now, this one has an interesting hard plastic see-through cover. I love when they do something special for the disc release. I don't know, it just makes me happy, like I've gotten something unique. Now, for many years, Doctor Strange, along with Ragnarok and Black Panther, were something of a trilogy of movies that were said to be the best 3D of the Marvel Universe. And taking a look here, my initial thought is that although the overall Marvel 3D experience did go through an upgrade at about this time, I think this one is made a good experience by the cinematography of its shots, by just the vision, the blocking, as they say. The 3D just has good material to work with, and they just blend it well, again, with the cinematography. Take this shot that brings the camera down to focus on the hand. The hand is filmed as if it were the point of a triangle, or perhaps the point of a square. Now, there are many ways this could have been filmed. Many films have shown a hand falling off a girder. It could have been shown from the side or down from the roof, or the camera could have stayed still and just did a focus pull from the face to the hand. All of these would have still been pretty, but they just would have been dull and uninteresting in 3D. This angled approach works. Also, when you see Strange running down hallways and such, if you follow him, he always seems to be going toward or ending up at a point, which is just a good style for 3D. Now, this is a pretty good movie. It's probably the best of the pure origin stories in the Marvel series. It shoves a ton of exposition at you, yet never drags, though it all feels a bit convenient at times. For me, the twisting landscape illusions defines this movie. In 3D, this street lifts away like a spaceship, and as the camera cranes over, it feels like it was always sort of floating there. Where flat, it always feels like that street was a part of the street, and then it sort of folds away into a different reality. Although a fun experience in 3D, 2 dimensions does help obscure what is going on. Flat, we can almost imagine the twisting landscape existing in a 4th dimension. Without stereo, the brain gets lost in it all, and it feels bewildering, like it's meant to feel. In 3D, you can see the pieces. It's easy to tell how it's all being carved up. You can make sense of the depth. Being able to resolve the various sections makes it all feel something like a fluid Legoland. Still fun, but slightly less fantastical. It's an odd moment where the 3D is cool, but 2D wins in terms of the film's intention. As I've said on other reviews, 3D should not be thought of as the ultimate experience, but as an amazing alternative. Now, in the commentary track, the director spoke about how accurate they tried to be in the operating room by pointing out the surgery began without the use of masks, and they're only introduced at certain stages. There was something about listening to him gleefully talking away about a topic that 5 years later would become verboten. Also, in an operating sequence, we get a great use of super slow motion that 3D absolutely loves. And actually, there's a few moments where they use that kind of freeze frame, and yet the camera keeps moving. Story-wise, it reminded me of a video I saw years ago on YouTube. Can't find it today, I guess it's long gone. It was of a preacher giving a high-energy sermon, and while wiping the sweat off his brow, he sat down and almost introspectively repeated one last instruction. It's not about you. And then he quietly and serenely died. This movie, strangely, I imagine accidentally, reenacts this moment quite well. In a ghostly scene that also happens to work well in stereo, seeing a ghost occupy space actually gives it some realism, and it's always super cool to see something in 3D, see through something in 3D. It's not about you is quite an impossible message. Because we can only know ourselves. And the very reason Doctor Strange visits this Hogwarts is to rebuild himself. It is about you to train and build up and even defend yourself and guard your standards. It's not about you, but the process has to be about you so you can reach a point where it's not about you. Now, there is some dimensional thinking. Because the opposite doesn't work. If it is about you, then in a weird way, the process becomes not about you, in that you always have to adjust, coerce, or manipulate those unfortunate enough to come under your influence, which is actually represented in the movie by Strange's damaged hands. He could not be a surgeon anymore. In a way, we all have these broken hands that represent the person we think we are or should be. If only this were the case, or if only that. Strange's anger and resentment toward anyone who is straight with him about his hands is an interesting representation of the constant struggle of hammering away at a world that just doesn't support or reflect your truth. A state of unfulfilled longing, constant craving. Along those lines, I think the casting of the Grand Master was an inspired choice. Probably not intentional, but inspired. You see, when I look at this version of the Grand Master, I don't see someone who's hard and self-important. I see imperfection and uncertainty, mistakes, failure. Someone who has their position not because they're the best, but because they're willing to give it away. Not worried about being found out because, again, it's not about them, but worried that it's not enough so the next one can do better. When it's not about you, then you strive for the best so you can give the best.